Hello and welcome to the Fish Out of Water podcast. You're here with me, Matt, Isaac, and Alex. And today we're going to be covering the NBA playoffs. There's been a lot going down, and we have missed a couple weeks. So without further ado, let's start with the second round, beginning with the Mavs Suns. So what were your thoughts on that series?
Well, like, not to say like I was like super surprised because like from the jump, like I've always believed in like Luca as mostly I've had him like consistently as like a top 5 player these past 2 years. So I wasn't say I was really surprised, but like I think this ultimately proved how like fraudulent the Suns are more than like how great Luca is though. Even though because like I knew Luca could do this because Luca has done this before. Like we shouldn't be surprised. He's done this to the Clippers twice, but this time, like Luca actually has a roster. Like Luca didn't go into this game 7 with no one else. He had guys like Dinwiddie and Brunson like by his side. So he like this time when he actually went to war in game 7, he actually had a supporting cast with him. So I wasn't really surprised about the Mavs performance. I was honestly more shocked about how bad honestly the Suns team is. And truth be told, I was never believing Ayton, so I'm not surprised that Ayton was this bad because we've seen it last year. He got exposed damn near all playoffs. But like this is a kind of all-time bad performance by like guys like Chris Paul, and I don't know how this guy's not getting enough slack, but like Mikal Bridges is supposed to be this all-world defender.
Overrated.
Yeah, this like supposed to be defensive player of the year, yet half the time he's switching off, like picking high pick and rolls when he's supposed to be guarding Luca, stuff like that. Like this is the guy y'all are paying $20 million a year for the next 4 years. Like at this point, this dude's just like a slightly better Danny Green. Like
All right.
No, even then, like, bro, the Phoenix Suns offense, it's absolutely easy to break now. It just took a couple of years for teams to figure out. All you have to do is take away Booker immediately, and Booker has no counter to his game outside of after you take away that, you know how he like runs off down pick and curls into a mid-range jump shot. If you take that away, he can't do anything. And Chris Paul off the ball is horrible. And DeAndre Ayton is exposed again. So, do you guys think the Suns should pay DeAndre Ayton?
Yeah, absolutely not. You and I have been saying this.
Right. But if you think about it, they're just going to lose him for nothing now. And they spent a number 1 overall pick on him. So don't you got to, I think like low key, the best thing to do is keep him, even though like he's kind of trash, you know?
No, I'm keeping my money. There's no way. I'm sorry.
Like, yeah, but
that's also a factor. Like they don't have anyone don't have anyone else to pay with that money. You know what I mean?
I mean,
that's an
ideally sign and trade. Like that is the most ideal scenario.
Oh man.
You just gotta get something, but
honestly, I would try to get rid of CP. Dude, he low-key got exposed this playoffs too.
He did.
As much as I think he's great and he's a Hall of Famer, but man, he's pretty one-dimensional if you think about it. Like he was so effective because of how good he was in the pick and roll and how good he is against drop coverage. But once he's going against a team like the Mavs, who have like a switchable center like Kleber and Dwight Powell, and instead of just playing drop coverage, they just switch everything and blitz to pick and roll. CP is literally like sort of useless. It's kind of crazy to say, but like I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like after game 2, the Mavs made some adjustments around CP and Book, and the series was basically over. The Mavs won 4 out of the next 5 games, and they basically blew them out in every single win. So I don't know.
What I noticed is they just made Booker and Chris Paul really uncomfortable. Like especially in the first 2 games, CP was cooking. Like those were all-time great performances by CP. And then just simple adjustments by just switching everything and pressing CP full court, which was similar to like what Alvarado was doing in the previous series. And next thing you know, CP's taking 9 shots a game. Like, yeah, exactly. And I looked at the stats. He shot 50% over the last 5 games. That's not bad. But he was averaging like 8.3 shots. which is ridiculous for someone of Chris Paul's caliber to be so uncomfortable. He doesn't want to shoot the ball. And Booker was the opposite. He was just, honestly, I think this kind of reaffirmed how you and I feel about Booker. He's great, but he's not that great yet.
Yeah, I agree.
And this just really reaffirmed it in my head because, like, the team, no one's hitting. Like that game, you scored 27 points and a half. But that's when Booker has to do something. Like, you got to score. You just have to.
Okay, but I also have to defend Booker to some standpoint because the rest of the team does not open up
Yeah,
for him to score. Like
I agree.
he's seeing he's seeing doubles. He's seeing like extreme help side on his to his side, and like it's because guys like especially the dudes he's usually especially the starting lineup. None of the if you really look at it, the rest of the four guys alongside Booker are legit non-threats offensively.
No,
Mikal Bridges is just a catch and shoot.
Exactly.
Same thing with Jay Crowder. Ayton is just DeAndre Ayton. He just literally half the time you forget he's on the court. And Chris Paul, I saw in round one, he had a crazy game 6 and 7, crazy game 6, and he clearly can be elite still, but at his age now, he just when you put bigger guys on him, he wears down. He just looks out of it.
Yeah.
He just gets worn down, especially late in series, and especially when Mavs put bigger wings on him, he just gets worn down and just it's like a disaster.
Yeah, I'm with you. They need another shot creator to just support Booker.
100%.
Because like you said, it's all catch and shoot. And when you really think about it, I'd say their third greatest offensive creator is Cam Johnson. Or not Cam Johnson, excuse me, Cam Payne. And there's no way that can happen.
Yeah, facts. And also, I think another thing we got to talk about is how bad Mikal Bridges was this series. If you think about it, he's almost as I won't say a zero on offense, but he is not a scoring threat at all whatsoever. And Alex was mentioning something that was kind of important. Booker had a terrible series, but a lot of it was because the Suns, their roster has big wings, but none of them can do anything. Jay Crowder is only a spot up shooter. Mikal Bridges can occasionally attack a closeout. And the closest thing to a shot creator is what Matt said, campaign. And you're not playing campaign against Luka Doncic. It's just not happening. So, yeah, I just think the Suns roster has been extremely overrated. And I think Jason Kidd's game plan actually was brilliant. Take away Chris Paul, take away Devin Booker, make them give it to DeAndre Ayton. For them, the Mavs basically let Ayton have a switch and they thought it was a win, So even when DeAndre Ayton has Brunson on him, that's still a win for the Mavs on defense. And that just speaks to how limited the Suns really are. And I think it kind of emphasizes maybe they're not so good after all. And I'm not going to say last year they had a fluke run because of all the injuries and stuff, but let's be honest, they did get a little lucky. They still made the finals. I'm not going to say they didn't deserve it or anything, but wow, to lose in this fashion, to get absolutely dominated by Luka, it's pretty embarrassing, man. And especially after all that talk that they've been doing, bro. Campaign, dude. This guy, he lost his rotation spot to Landry Shamet, bro. None of these guys should be talking. Jay Crowder swears to God that he's a baller. Dude's absolutely tragic at basketball. I don't know what else to say, man. But yeah, I mean, the Suns have an interesting offseason. I think they got to do some self-reflection and think, how good are we? How good is Chris Paul? How good is DeAndre Ayton? How good is Mikal Bridges? Can you guys believe that this guy got second in Defensive Player of the Year voting? Unbelievable. He did absolutely nothing against Luka. Yeah.
Regular season award, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think the craziest thing, all this happening, I think the craziest part of this is the Suns' window after that game 7. The window's closed.
Absolutely.
Chris Paul's only gonna get older. And with Aiton's contract up, there's even less flexibility as all the guys they drafted are now wanting to get paid. Like they're gonna have to pay Cam Johnson a year. You know, you already paid Mikal Bridges. Like with this roster, there's not even much flexibility that you can even have. And like Booker's also eligible for the Supermax, which is upwards of like 50 million a year. So there's just no flexibility with this roster. So like,
Yeah.
I just don't like. It's kind of a dead end if you really look at it.
100%, 100%.
The Suns can't draft. Like they could have gotten Tyrese Halliburton a couple of years ago, but they drafted Jalen Smith, a center, after they spent a number 1 overall pick on the center like 2 years ago. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know if their organization is actually good, but I don't know. There's a lot of red flags here for them.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think the Suns' window's closed. We even talked about it. Chris Paul looked tired by the end of that series. I just don't think a 38-year-old Chris Paul is going to carry the load that like a player like Devin Booker would need, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Suns got to make some changes, bro. Not gonna lie.
More than just changes.
Yeah. Okay. How about, so are we good with are we done trashing the Suns, or do you guys have anything else to say?
Nah.
Now let's move on.
Let's talk about my Dallas Mavericks, baby. These boys, this is a championship roster right here. These guys absolutely obliterated the Suns. And if you think about it, this roster is very versatile, there's almost no liability on defense outside of like Jalen Brunson, who's not even that bad. It's just he's small, you know. Luka Doncic is absolute killer. They have 3 creators with Dinwiddie, Brunson, Luka. I've been telling y'all, Mavs to the finals, and it's looking more and more like it. I love the construction of this roster. Kleber's big. Dorian Finney-Smith's big. Reggie Bullock is big too. Great 3-point shooting team in the half court. These boys are meant for it. And like, we'll talk about it later, but I got them beating the Warriors in 5 or 6. I just think though it's a terrible matchup for the Warriors. But this team is crazy good. Or I won't say crazy good, but it's very, very solid. And considering how much Jason Kidd has improved as a coach since his Brooklyn Nets days, man, like this is a great team. It's a great team.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think the team's built really well around Luka because like we saw in the Clippers series that Luka really needed that next shot creator. And when he didn't get it, and when, you know, like Tim Hardaway and Finney-Smith weren't shooting, say, 70% from 3, it was a problem. But now he's got, you know, 2 shot creators, and like Dinwiddie didn't play great that whole series, but he had his moments. And like that's all Luka really needs. Like they just need to have their moments. And outside of that, defensively, I find the team pretty underrated. Like Reggie Bullock's really stepped up. And, you know, like Tim Hardaway and Finney-Smith are bigger guards. Like you said, Kleber's got size. So I think
they're not, by the way, they're doing this without Tim Hardaway Jr., who's another offensive scorer.
Yeah. But in general, their defense is pretty big and they play physical, which is what I really liked against the Suns because the Suns are kind of a crybaby team. So I like the Mavs roster a lot. Do I think they're going to beat the Warriors? No, but I do like the Mavs a lot.
I think this is going to 7. I mean, I'm sort of leaning towards the it's clear. Like I just write about this being like on paper from what I see, like it definitely is a mismatch in my eyes. Like especially with Gary Payton out, I'm wondering who's going to be the primary defender on Luka. I mean, I think it's probably going to be Wiggins, which is going to be like easy for Luka all series. But also like the Warriors just don't have a lot of size compared to like the size and length like the Mavs do. Like the Warriors might have to be like forced to play guys like Kuminga and like he's gonna have to play long stretches from because they just don't have the length and the size that the Mavs do. You know?
Yeah, but I if
Wait,
I'm
so
I
did you say you picked the Mavs?
Yeah, in like 7.
Oh, okay.
I just think I don't think the Warriors are actually gonna pay that much attention to Luca. And I mean this like in an honest way, just because of the mismatch that we're talking about. I think the Warriors are gonna focus on locking down that 3-point line. Because the Mavs in those last few games were just their 3-pointers were ridiculous, like all around the board. So I see the Warriors taking more of an approach of like trying to just let Luca get his 40, but try to conceal everyone else. And I think it's going to be one of those series that if the Mavs pull it off, I see it going 7 no matter what. It's going to be like Brunson or Dinwiddie, like really, really stepping it up because Luca's going to get his, especially against this roster. Like there's no one big enough. I don't really think Draymond and Wig. I mean, they might, but I don't know if Draymond's going to pick up like Luca full court. You know what I mean?
But like Matt, that method sounds good, but like that's just not gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
all these guys are gonna like naturally get open shots because of how much like attention Luka's gonna draw.
Of course.
Like
But I think there's a line. Like I don't think they have the right guy to like really just like try to throw everyone at Luca. When the Suns tried doing it, it just didn't work.
the only times where like I see the Mavs being like somewhat like that somewhat kind of working is when like the Mavs will go in phases when like Brunson or like Dinwiddie are not attacking and it's just Luka only attacking, that's when the Mavs like have issues. But after game 3, like that doesn't happen like that didn't happen since. So I don't think that's going to be a serious issue for the Mavs, and the Warriors are just gonna like the Warriors like they're just not going to be able to defend the Mavs like they're people keep saying the Mavs, oh, they're not going to keep like shooting at this high like 3-point clip. It's just going to happen because they're going to have open looks.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you there. I feel like this is just my gut feeling, but I'm picking the Warriors mostly because of Steph and because I like the Warriors system. I'm kind of putting my money on Steve Kerr and Steph because, I mean, I'm going to go purely emotional here. I've seen Curry this year play with like a different fire than I've ever seen him play with. Like the way he's talking to the crowd, the refs, like he just seems like he's in like a different mood. So for me, I see the mismatch, but I have a feeling the Warriors are going to pull this one out.
Yeah, I get the Steph Curry argument. He's still like probably the greatest offensive player of our generation. But I think the Mavs, like the reason why I say it's a mismatch is not necessarily because how bad the Warriors defense will be in stopping Luka, but the other way around. I actually think the Mavs defense is built to beat the Warriors offense. They have so many wings and so many guys who can switch onto Curry and switch off of him. Draymond is an absolute zero on offense. So outside of his passing, and it's just an easy switch when they run all that action. I honestly think that Klay Thompson at this point is very limited. Like he has some bright moments, but like he doesn't have the same lift anymore. He can't move off the ball like he used to. I think a lot of like his success actually came when Steven Adams was the center in the second round against him in that Grizzlies series, where like Steven Adams kind of forced to play drop coverage and Klay just kind of got a ball screen and then just kind of pulled up and walked into an open 3. But like there's just a lot of questions with this Warriors team that I think are being overlooked. I also think that Curry has also been quietly not that great these playoffs. Like he's also had great moments, but I don't see the same burst off the ball. I don't see the same lift in his jump shot as he used to have. I just think these guys are regressing a bit. And Draymond, like Draymond's a phenomenal player, but coming at this point when you don't have an offensive bag at all, it's going to get exposed. And I think the Mavs are really going to take advantage of Draymond Green on the defense, or for the Mavs on defense. When Draymond's on offense, they're going to really take advantage of that. And I think the Warriors are going to sort of run out of ideas because their offense is so counter heavy. I just think the Mavs are built to counter each one of their counters, if that makes any sense.
No, I mean, I agree with you on the Clay point a little bit. I do think he lost a little bit of a step, but he's still a threat. And especially with Jordan Poole almost like at that same 2-3 level, it's not that big. But for Curry, I think Curry looks as good as he's ever looked. And I think he's put together his best like fourth quarter performances I've seen in a long time. Like especially in the fourth quarter when the Warriors are in the mud, like Curry really takes over the game. But other than that, like I acknowledge I do see the mismatch of having large wings, and we saw them against the Suns where, the Mavericks switch everything. And that's something they can do against the Warriors because they're relatively small. But I have to say, the thing I'm really excited for, and I think will determine the series, is if the Warriors small ball is effective in the fourth quarter, because they're going to do it. Like they're going to put Dre at the 5 and go small. And I want to see, because if the Warriors small ball ends up becoming a problem or it ends up working, then I can see the Warriors winning the series.
Yeah, but I just don't think that small ball will work against this Mavs team. That's what my point is, especially because of how big the Mavs are in general. And like I think a big part of it's also because of how good Kleber and Dorian Finney-Smith have been, because they're so big and like they're so versatile that you can just do a lot of things with them on defense. And like we all know Luka is going to get his own. There's going to be some moments where Jalen Brunson, drops 25. There's going to be moments where there's going to be games where Dinwiddie drops like 25 as well. So I think those things are just inevitable. The Mavs offense is just too good, but it's just more about the defensive end where I just think the Warriors might struggle a lot.
I also go ahead.
I think the biggest factor will be Jordan Poole offense, like for the Warriors offense, because I think in that Memphis series, a lot of time it seems like this Warriors team struggled to create offensively. Like guys can't really get to the basket like that, or just create for themselves or even others. And Jordan Poole really provided that for them. Honestly, if it wasn't for Jordan Poole sort of like blossoming into this sort of like all-star level player, the Warriors probably would have lost that series against the Grizzlies.
Even without Ja?
Yeah, I think there's a legitimate chance that they could have lost that series if it wasn't for Jordan Poole like becoming this like player he's been for the second half of the season. Because the Warriors the Warriors offense is just not the same as it was.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say that though, just because Jordan Poole's been good all year. So I don't know. Like, maybe if he wasn't good, things could have changed. But it's kind of hard because it's not like he just got good for one series. Like he's been doing this all year.
It's only been like the second half of the season though. Like if you really look, it's really only been post All-Star break, and that's why that is why he is the X factor. Because if you don't remember, like Curry, like I think it was like around December to like February, he really struggled to get going. And like part of it was, they didn't have Draymond, but also it's because like no one else on the team was really a threat to open up the offense for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Jordan Poole is a big, big X factor. Because like, if you think about shot creation, like Curry is not really a shot creator. He's really good off the ball. And like, I'm not gonna say like he can't isolate or any of that, but it's not as like, I wouldn't say it's like he's the best at it. I think, in terms of pure shot creation, Jordan Poole is clearly the most skilled at that. And, he's still extremely young, and like, he's been good. He was amazing in that Nuggets series, but like, once he started playing against more physical defenders like, Dillon Brooks and Tyus Jones in the Memphis series, he was struggling a bit. And I think Alex hit around the spot. Like Jordan Poole is a big X factor. Like if he's gonna play like he did against the Nuggets, like I think the Warriors could actually take this one. But I'm just anticipating that the Mavs are going to have a lot of great defensive scheme, and they're going to stop Jordan Poole. They're going to stop Curry, and they're going to live with, just going to live with Draymond handoffs to like, I don't know, Otto Porter or something like that. But yeah, I actually do think Jordan Poole is the biggest X factor here. We've seen the best of him, we've seen the worst of him. Yeah, so I think Alex hit it right on the spot.
I think Jordan Poole's just one of those players though. Like he strikes me as a player who's gonna go out and get you 30, or he's gonna like, if he's not feeling it, he's getting you 8 points. So I think that's where like the X factor aspect comes in. But as for shot creation, Curry's a better shot creator than Jordan Poole. I mean, like Jordan Poole, like he can do more like dance on the perimeter and pull up for a midi, but like Curry's put on a lot of muscle, and like he can get downhill, get to the hole, step back, mid range, 3-pointers. Like he doesn't always need a screen. Like if you're picking one of them to shot create, I'm definitely taking Curry.
I don't know, like when you're talking about one-on-one isolation with 10 seconds left, I like Curry isn't like the best at it. Like I'm not gonna say he's bad or anything like that. He's definitely like above average. He's pretty good, but I don't know. Jordan Poole just has a better like handle, and like his feel is just better with the ball in his hands than Curry's. You know.
Yeah, his first step's a lot quicker. He's like, it's easier for him to get to the basket. Like, there's a lot. He's just more dangerous off the bounce than Curry, you know. So that's why, like, Curry, a lot of the reason Curry's just more dangerous because he's so lethal off the ball, and you know, his shooting ability just opens up for the rest of the team. But as from a pure like, oh, just trying to get a bucket, I think Jordan Poole is easily the scariest on the Warriors team, at least from a one-on-one standpoint.
I don't know, because I remember in the Nuggets and the Grizzlies series, so many of the fourth quarters, Curry had constant ISO plays that just resulted in clutch buckets. Like there was I can't remember the exact games, but there was a few and one layups, floaters, step back threes. Like these were all in the clutch too. Like that's not Jordan Poole taking those shots, and it is one-on-one isolation plays.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Matt, I don't know what plays you're talking about exactly, but like at the end of the day, like when it comes down to it, I don't think the Warriors are going to give it to Jordan Poole, to isolate or anything like that. They're going to run their offense to Curry. Clay's going to spot up in the corner, and they'll work from there. And Jordan Poole will also spot up in the other corner. But, I think Alex and I are just trying to say, like, just on the ball, like Jordan Poole just has more skill, and like the burst, the first step thing also matters. But like obviously Curry's the better player. Like there's no question about that. It's just more about like how good they are in isolation, and like, yeah, that's just all it is. And honestly, by just saying that, like I think that just speaks to how big of a factor Jordan Poole is going to be in this series.
I agree with that. I think he'll be an X factor for sure.
Yeah. So we'll see.
With that, let's move to the Eastern Conference, because I'm kind of tired of the West. So what were your thoughts of let's go Miami, Philly. I know we love Embiid up in here, so.
Hey, what do you think, Matt?
What do I think? Dude, nah. Did that series tell you anything that we didn't already know? Like honestly, okay, Harden had one game where he played really well and they won, so that's cool. Other than that, Embiid played a real defense and looked awful. Don't blame it on injury.
Man. Yeah,
if you play, you're not hurt. That's how.
No.
Oh no, that's 100% not true.
Embiid was pretty hurt. This dude couldn't see, bro. This dude couldn't touch his face. The fact that he was out there was impressive enough. He was out there probably 40%, bro. This is nowhere near Embiid gets a clear pass.
All right, so
I'm not gonna say clear pass, but
no, it's a pass.
I'll give him. I'm not gonna be like Embiid sucks from this, but I won't say clear pass.
Okay, you telling me if Embiid's healthy, what they win the series or win another game? No, they got lucky enough as it is. They're still out in 6.
Yeah, but my problem with the Sixers was never Embiid. It was this horrendous roster they built around him.
Guys, did you guys see Matisse Thybulle? This guy is awful.
Bro, I've been known that, man.
Matisse Thybulle, he is next to Mikal Bridges in the overrated players list right now.
All right.
No, this guy Matisse Thybulle is an I said Mikal Bridges isn't a zero. Well, Matisse Thybulle is a zero on offense. Like, I couldn't believe what I was watching out there when Doc Rivers, Doc Rivers, our good old friend Doc Rivers.
Oh, he's coming to the Lakers. You ready?
Oh no, that's not happening.
Ready?
If he comes to the Lakers, I'm quitting basketball. Like I'm just gonna watch football. But man, Doc Rivers, when Danny Green went down with that horrific injury, prayers up, bro. This guy in an elimination game started Matisse Thybulle in the third quarter, and then the second half against the Miami Heat, and like, wow, that was an absolute disaster. Like, Matisse Thybulle's only value is his on-ball defense, supposedly, but Jimmy Butler was dribbling rings around that guy, man. Like, this guy, Matisse Thybulle, I don't want to hear any more praise. Like, this guy is absolutely, he is the definition of a fraud. Like, an absolute definition of a fraud. Like, he basically did nothing this series. And people keep saying that he's this all defensive type of guy, but no, he's not. He's not. And he's a zero on offense. Terrible. Absolutely disgraceful to basketball.
Like, I've never seen a defender be so overrated. Like his defense is so reliant on there being like rim protection at the rim. Like, all he does is really just funnel defenders to the paint. Like, this dude on ball is actually below average, yet people all want to put him all defensive team. Like, what are they watching? Like, I'm watching this dude guard Tyler Hero. Like, dude, you're not guarding Ben Simmons at practice. This dude Tyler Hero will pull up in the mid range and shoot a jumper. Like he is a pretty good help side defender, but then again, help side defense does not mean you're all defensive team.
This guy he made the all defensive team, bro. Like, I could not believe that.
Yeah, and
absolutely. It's terrible.
Don't let me get started with guys like Tobias Harris.
My God, Tobias Harris.
Like, at this point, Tobias Harris is like literally getting $40 million to be a bad spot up shooter. And like the amount of times like I see him he gets the ball and then he tries to he thinks he's like Melo in the 2010s, going in the mid post, doing all these like fadeaways and like post fades. It's like, man, they really chose this dude over Jimmy Butler. Are we serious? Like, come on,
bro. Tobias, like, I wouldn't say he's a fraud, but he's pretty bad. Like, man, for that kind of money too.
Yeah, he's just overpaid. Like, he's not bad, but
dude, the Sixers roster is so bad. Like,
it just doesn't make sense. Like, you know what I mean?
It's so bad. Like, okay, we're just dogging on these guys, but like, when Embiid was hurt the first two games, why is DeAndre Jordan getting any sort of minutes right now? This guy is actually, he needs to retire. He's like, I'm 6'1" and I think I can guard the pick and roll better than him. Like, DeAndre Jordan is absolutely like, he's terrible. I can't, like, after seeing how he was game 1 and game 2, Doc Rivers had the audacity to say, we're gonna stick with him if Embiid's out. Like, no, why would you do that? Like, DeAndre Jordan. And like, another guy I want to attack right now, bro, Georges Niang. Oh my God. The Sixers had to play him like 25 to 30 minutes a game because they had no offense going for them because of how bad Harden is. Like, when you have to play Georges Niang, you're in trouble. Like, this guy can't do anything off the dribble. He's an absolute zero on defense. He's just a great corner 3-point shooter. Like, I'll give him that. He's been shooting 40% his entire career. So, like, great corner 3-point shooter. Like, yes. But man, when you're playing Georges Niang like 25 minutes a game in the playoffs against the 1 seed, like, that's how you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, I will say, I think the only real bright spot for me, just to stop bagging on the Sixers, was Maxey. I think he had a really great series. He brought a lot of energy too that I really loved. Like, he was fired up on the bench, when Harden was sitting there keep in mind, just sitting there. So I really liked Maxey this series. I think if he does choose to stay in Philly, he's someone who can definitely help them and contend for a title. But I mean, like Alex said, it just doesn't work. Like nothing works. And I'm sorry, Harden's done. Like he's on the way down and he's going down fast. I think he's honestly entering that Russ territory where his contract's too big and they can't trade him because no one's going to want him for that money.
No, Harden's not Westbrook Terry.
No, like heading there.
No, like Westbrook's a little.
Westbrook's pretty bad.
Harden still like can like run the offense. Not like he won't make like 10 errant plays that will lose you a game. Like
you're not going to pay Harden that money, are you?
I'm not. But Harden is still a quality basketball player. Like, and I think, I think he'll be better next year. Like, I think next year he'll be at least a top 50 NBA player. Like, he legit didn't even look like a top 100 basketball player this series. But like, I think next season, like, I think he'll come in better shape. I wouldn't give him a max, but I think I still think next season he could be like a $30 million player. I still think he can still do that. Can he be a number one option? Of course not anymore, but can he maybe still be a 2 if he comes back in shape, gets his body right? I think there's still somewhat of a chance. I wouldn't say the window's totally closed, even though like it's not looking good.
I will say this about Harden, like, man, he is an absolute zero in isolation scoring now, which is kind of crazy to say. But he's a great passer. Like he's a great passer. Like, we all know his assist numbers went up, but like I actually think in this case, like his assist numbers do reflect how good he is as a passer. And like, he's very accurate. He has great velocity when he passes the ball. He knows he's great feel. Like he's good at playmaking now. So I think in that sense, like, yeah, he can still be a decent basketball player. But like, when you consider like what you had to give up for Harden, it's still at the end of the day extremely, extremely disappointing. Because like, you had to give up like 2 first-round picks. You had to give up Ben Simmons, which was basically your only trade option. Your trade asset, and Seth Curry. And like, you can argue that Seth Curry is better than James Harden right now.
No. That's a little too far, man.
Right now, like based off what we watched, that's a reasonable take. Like I don't agree with it, but it's reasonable.
It's not like I won't say it's like set in stone that Seth Curry's better, but like, man, James Harden, like, what's going on here? Like after he was actually pretty good last season when before his hamstring injury against the Brooklyn Nets, but like since that hamstring injury, he's just not been the same. Like, I don't know if it's that he can't get healthy, if he's just fat and lazy, or like, I don't know what it is, but like ever since that who they played in the first round, whoever the Nets played in the first round, was it the Raptors?
No, you said Nets.
The Nets last year.
Yeah, before
the Nets swept the Celtics last year.
They swept the Celtics. Yeah, like Harden was great, up to that point, and then from there, like, he got a lot heavier, it seems. He got no burst off the dribble. He can't get any lift off his jump shot when he does the step back. Like, I don't know what's going on with Harden, but I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, this is really disappointing. And like Embiid said it himself in his post-game interview, like, James is not the Houston Harden. Like, that's what we have to realize. And like, man, it's just kind of tough. Like, dude, like Embiid, as much as we clown on him, he's still a quality big man. Like, he's still a top 2 center in the league, and he can play for championship teams. But like, the Sixers keep screwing him over with this James Harden trade, this Matisse Thybulle, playing Matisse Thybulle, paying Tobias Harris, losing Jimmy Butler. Like as much as we clown Joel Embiid, Matt, like, the Sixers have screwed this guy over a ton.
No, totally. Like what you said, I agree with fully. Embiid is still a top 2 center. He's a top 20 NBA player. Like, he can definitely contend
top 20.
Hey, I'm just being modest, all right?
Dude,
But
come
I'm
on.
going back to
Oh,
Harden, man. Have you ever seen Harden get his step back blocked before? Like, actually,
Like, no,
like,
not get blocked, but like get blocked like 3 times in a game.
that's what I'm saying. I've seen him multiple times in a game, and it's like a block where the ball goes backwards. It's crazy to think because this guy would be raining this over like everyone, and it's kind of sad. But uh,
Yeah,
father time, I guess.
Gabe Vincent was absolutely clamping this guy, bro.
Gabe Vincent had a monster series too.
Yeah.
Um, but actually, before we talk about the Heat, let's move on and talk about the Milwaukee Boston series. So, what were your thoughts?
Dude, great series. But like I think the biggest factor here was Milwaukee had basically no offense in the half court. A lot of it was they were too reliant on Drew Holiday and his perimeter creation. And Giannis isn't like the best in the half court. He's kind of limited in that way. So I think the Celtics had an amazing game plan where like they just got really physical with Giannis, and they just have the personnel to take on Giannis in single coverage. Like Grant Williams is great for Giannis. Al Horford's also pretty solid against Giannis. Daniel Tice, even Tatum to a degree. Even Marcus Smart's been great on Giannis. Like these Celtics actually just have a lot on the Bucks. But at the end of the day, like even though the Bucks didn't have Middleton, I still think the best team did win. I think this Boston team is legit, and this is a championship roster, like championship winning roster, no doubt.
I mean, Middleton. If Middleton played, it would be hard to say because mainly the Celtics kind of threw game 3 and game 5,
Right.
where like they could have easily won those 2 games. So the series was a lot closer than it could have been. But like, I think this series is totally different if Middleton plays. Like you saw that game 7, there were like Grayson Allen should not be playing in the game 7, and you relying on him to like do stuff offensively. Like it's hard to watch. Like no one outside of Drew Holiday could do anything on the perimeter. So I think the Bucks might have won the series because like, man, I just go back to what Middleton did last year, and if he just does like 80 to 85% of what he did like last year in the playoffs, like I think that the Milwaukee like could have won that series because Middleton was arguably like a legit number 2 option. It seemed like throughout the playoffs, in 2021.
Yeah, you're totally correct about Middleton because this series was won by the fourth quarter. Because every single game I watched, which was all 7, Milwaukee could not score in the fourth quarter because when the game slowed down and got in half court sets, they were relying on, like you said, it was all Drew Holiday, and that cannot be your primary ISO scorer. Meanwhile, the
Or
Celtics,
your only.
yeah, primary only.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your only primary scorer. And like Giannis is great, but he needs to get downhill. And the thing that the Celtics did really great is they kind of built the wall Miami did, and they drew a lot of charges, which would get Giannis in foul trouble early. But fourth quarter, if Middleton plays, this is a different series. Like it's 100% a different series because they cannot close games for their lives. Like it was desperation. Giannis, Drew Holiday drive, kickouts, like Drew Holiday crazy layup shots. Like meanwhile, Boston's the opposite. Like they play phenomenal in the fourth quarter. They play tight on defense. Marcus Smart has had way more of an offensive impact than I expected. Obviously, Jaylen Brown and Tatum are cooking. And they always seem to have someone who steps up. Like, Pritchard stepped up a game. You had, I forget, Grant Williams step up a game, So I'm with you. If Middleton plays, different series, but I do still think the Celtics could have won.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think the point that's key here is like the Celtics blew 2 games that they should have won. Like, I'm not gonna take away anything from the Bucks because you gotta take advantage of what you can to win. But like, I honestly think the Celtics should have won this in 5. Not because like the Bucks think, but like they choked, 2 games that they should have won. But the Middleton factor is a big deal. But at the end of the day, like, it's still like not like clear like who would win. So either way, like I still think the Celtics winning, even with Middleton, is a realistic possibility. So yeah, Milwaukee just got to run it back. But now let's talk about the Celtics Heat series, and this is recorded after Game 1, after Jimmy Butler went bonkers and the Heat defense absolutely clamped on Jason Tatum in that third quarter, holding to like, I don't know, 7 points or something like that, and like 6 turnovers in the second half. So what are your thoughts about that?
I gotta say, I think this is gonna go down as like one of the greatest playoff series of all time. I really think like these teams are incredibly evenly matched. Like they're great. I'd say they're like the 2 best defensive teams in the league based off what I've watched in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think they're both deep benches. They, for some reason, always seem to have some guys step up who's like not a superstar. And it always seems to come at the right time. Like they're also a team where everyone tends to contribute. I do think the Celtics have a little bit more of a defensive hole only because they go through these weird stretches where I feel like teams are having like, I don't know, like layup lines almost, where I feel like the Heat tend to be a little tighter. But yeah, I think it's going to be an incredible series that'll go to 7 for sure. I personally am picking the Celtics, but it is purely an emotional pick because they're underdogs and I just loved watching them play. But to talk about Game 1, I actually took a final during the third quarter, so I didn't get to watch the third quarter. But based off what I watched, which was the first, second, and fourth quarter, it was incredible. Like the teams are so evenly matched. And I was watching that fourth quarter. Jimmy Butler was working. Like he was hitting these ridiculous middies. He had that one over Tatum where I swear Tatum touched the ball. But even when he was kicking out, like they were hitting these ridiculous 3-point shots that I could not like believe what I was watching. But at the same time, the Celtics are doing the same thing. You have Tatum and Jaylen Brown shooting at like an 80% like 3-point percentage. Like they're launching threes all over the place. I'm sitting here like just mind blown. Like I think this series is going to go really far. I think at the end of the day, it will come down to like who is going to really outplay the other team. And it's the little things. Like last night was Miami in the third quarter. So it's going to come down to the little things like that.
And honestly, like, obviously, like a very obvious like factor of this game was that Marcus Smart and Al Horford didn't play, but especially Marcus Smart because I feel like Al Horford, like Al Horford was a huge factor in that Bucks series, but I feel like in this Heat series, not as big a factor. Honestly, I believe like Robert Williams and Tice are actually kind of like better for the Celtics this series. But not having Marcus Smart is a big factor in terms of like, man, when you don't have Marcus Smart there, you have to rely on Neesmith playing. That is a scary, like,
you know how we feel about Neesmith.
Yeah, he was low-key the real MVP for the Heat. Like, there was like a few plays where he just like fouled Heat shooters, just like straight up tackling the dude. I was like, what is this kid doing? Like some of the shots he was shooting is like, dude, since when did you have that green light? And it's like Marcus, like honestly, why Marcus Smart is so valuable to Celtics is they don't have to play this dude, man. Like I'm as long as this dude plays, like you're just gonna keep winning.
Yeah. Oh my God. Last year, Matt, back when Matt and I were just on the pod, like we had this whole segment where we just completely roasted Aaron Neesmith, and I'm open to saying it. This guy is the worst player in basketball out of everyone who plays. Like, obviously, there's people who are like, G League players getting called up, but like this, out of everyone who got drafted, like who plays, like this guy is the worst player in NBA. He's so undisciplined and he does some crazy things. Man, Aaron Neesmith, you can't be playing this guy. But like let's go, let's stay on focus here. So I think the biggest question here, assuming that Marcus Smart does get a play, that is a big if though, because he got like a mid-foot sprain, which is like pretty serious. It's hard to play through. And let's just assume Al Horford comes back. I think for the Heat, like the biggest thing is like is Max Strus, is Gabe Vincent, are these guys like legit, you know? We know Jimmy Butler is that guy. We know that he can score on anybody, and especially in the playoffs, he's been a minimum top 3 player in my opinion. Like he's been exceptional, and like I don't even think there's a debate that Jimmy Butler is a top 10 player in this league at this point. But it's about the other guys scoring. Like I have no doubt that Gabe Vincent, I have no doubt that PJ Tucker, Bam, this is a phenomenal defensive team. There is no defensive liability on this team whatsoever. The only thing you can really attack is Gabe Vincent in isolation in the post because he's small. But even then, like he might, snatch the ball away from you. So like in terms of defense, like there is virtually no weakness on this team. They're versatile. They're big. They got everything. But, when it comes to scoring, that's my biggest concern. Like we off the dribble, like everyone can do a little bit. Like Oladipo can do a little bit. Gabe Vincent can do a little bit. When Kyle Lowry comes back, he can also do a little bit. But there's no like set in stone second option, And for that to happen, like the Heat definitely need a collective effort on offense through their system, their beautiful like handoffs, their cuts, using Bam as a high post passer, things like that. They're just gonna have to get creative with it. But it's gonna be tough, because the Celtics defense is no joke, especially when Marcus Smart comes back, especially when Al Horford's back too. Even though Al Horford won't probably have as big of an impact, but he's still a great player to have on defense. But yeah, the biggest concern for me is how the Heat are going to score on this defense consistently. They have a lot of guys, they have a lot of versatility, but in terms of scoring, like it's gonna be kind of hard, especially on the Celtics team to score consistently.
No,
Yeah,
definitely.
actually, yeah, I really agree with you on that. I feel like with the Celtics, someone always steps up. And I think Al Horford is just another opportunity for someone to step up.
Yeah, absolutely.
We saw Al Horford turn into like Hakeem Olajuwon that one game, which was so amazing to watch. But he's just another guy because like I said, you had the Grant Williams game, you had a Pritchard game, you had a Horford game. I think we're really yet to have a Kobe White game, but we know like guys like him have the potential to.
Kobe White.
Derek White. I'm so sorry, Derek White.
Oh, Derek White. Okay.
Kobe White. No, he's not there yet for sure.
Anyway, Johnson got picked with the 10th roll. Sorry.
I know. I actually used to love him, but we're not gonna talk about that. And then with the Heat, I always feel like the Heat have a very balanced attack, and like you said, I think they really need someone to step up. Like we thought it would be Hero, but like Hero's been
Hero too.
He's been there. He's been consistent, but he's not like
that number 2 guy. You know what I mean?
Exactly. He's
just a big contributor in that offense, but I wouldn't say he's like give me a bucket right now. Kind of like you can say that for Jaylen Brown, but you can't say that about like Hero.
Yeah, that Hero is definitely an X factor. Like sometimes the Heat are hard to watch, especially the 2 games in Philly, especially in the half court. Like that's why I feel like this series, the Heat really have to try to speed up the Celtics on defense, try to so they can honestly speed up the game where they can get more in transition. Because honestly, what kickstarted the run in the 3rd quarter was when they sped up the Celtics on offense. Like a lot of like traps, a lot of like swiping the ball off pick and rolls and creating turnovers. That really led that because the Heat started going out on transition, and that's how the Heat really got on that run. So I think a big factor for the Heat this series is to speed up the Celtics and honestly not let the Celtics really set up that defense, which is arguably like one of the best defenses in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I guess for the Celtics now, like, do you guys have any concerns or highlights that you want to highlight going into the series?
Honestly, for me, I don't actually have a concern for the Celtics. Like, I think they're a really young and hungry team. I do want to say I love what Udoka's done too, because I think their coaching situation is perfect. Just to go off topic a little bit, like Brad Stevens being an amazing X and O guy working above him, and I feel like Udoka was like he's much more of a fire starter. Like he brings this team like a little more energy and grit than I've seen in past years, which I love. I don't think there's a flaw. I think the thing with them is they got to stay consistent because they played a great game last night, even without Marcus Smart and Al Horford, with the exception of the third quarter. Like they got a little bit out of rhythm. They defensively, they just weren't getting set, like Alex said, and Jimmy was just giving it to him. Next thing you know, you give up a 40-point quarter, you're not coming back, you know? So I think with them, they just got to stay consistent.
I do have one concern, and then this is, I won't say it's a concern. It's sort of like I'm sort of underwhelmed by this player to a sense because I kind of pulled him to like sort of a higher standard than most, and it's Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, I feel like at times is easily a top 25 player, but he just doesn't show it at times. Like, I just don't know what it is. Like, he should, like, especially later in that, like, Bucks series as well, like, he can do a lot of things, but I don't know why he just doesn't turn it on. Like, and
Yeah.
I also don't know why he is so loose with the ball now. Like, I don't know if this is like sort of recent, but like he's extremely loose with the ball, especially like when dribbling to the basket and against the Heat, that be a serious issue. So like like the Jaylen Brown, like if I'm the Celtics, like the Jaylen Brown I want to see is, you know, the top 25 player that I think he can be, which for some reason he just doesn't show on a consistent basis.
Yeah, like okay, that actually goes into like my actual concern. I do have a legit concern for the Celtics, and it's that there's not a player on this team, even when Horford and Marcus Smart is back, where they can consistently beat a help side defense. Like Tatum and Brown are exceptional 1-1 players and great off the ball, but like when you load up on them, like for example, like let's bring in Luka for example. Like when you load up on Luka, like Luka will make the right pass. He'll make that skip pass into the corner. He'll throw a lob. He knows how to beat like a double team. But the thing with Tatum and Brown, like, and even Marcus Smart, you can say they're not like elite level playmakers. And I think that's what the Heat actually really did well in game 3, which was expose that weakness of being not as a great facilitator and knowing how to beat like this zone scheme defense where there's a lot of help side to the nail and to the middle. And it's more like the Heat are forcing the Celtics players to make reads that are far beyond just like one pass away things where you can just swing it to the open guy. But they're trying to get when Tatum has the ball, when Jaylen Brown has the ball, they're trying to get them to make decisions that they normally don't make, which is, manipulate the defense and swing it to the corner. And it's just, I think that's their biggest issue. When I look at this team, there's not really a high end playmaker on this team, and like outside of like, I'll say 2.5 people. So 2.5 creators, meaning I count Jaylen Brown as a creator. Jason Tatum is a creator, and I'll give Marcus Smart a half. There's not really anyone on this team that's really special on offense. Like Grant Williams is a shooting guy. He can shoot in the corner, but he's not really a threat off the bounce. Al Horford is not really a threat off the bounce either. He's more of a shooting stretch big guy. Robert Williams is really just a lob threat. Derek White is not really the best. When I look at this team, like outside of Marcus Smart, Tatum, and Brown, like I just don't see, kind of similar to what the Heat have. They just don't have enough scoring, in my opinion, and enough like playmaking ability. They don't have guys who can make the next level read that like let's say Luka could make, and even like to a degree Jimmy Butler can make. That's my biggest concern because like there's so much that coaching can do when you're in certain situations. When the Heat send so much help side to you, you just got to sort of figure it out on the fly. And unfortunately, I don't think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have that sort of feel and have that sort of they don't their skill set isn't based around being a double team. if that makes sense.
I agree with you on the playmaking part, as in like when help side defense comes, like these three, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum, they're not great like playmakers. They can play make.
Yeah,
They're
that's
not
my biggest concern. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. But also with the scoring, I do disagree with that. I think all of them are good enough, like scorers per se and shot creators that like that's not an issue because they're surrounded by guys who are catch and shoot and play like
That's right.
what's his name? Like Al Horford, he said, is a spot up shooter. I'm
Grant
blanking.
Williams.
Yeah, exactly. Grant Williams.
But that's my issue though. Like outside of these three guys, which honestly, like Marcus Smart even is not like the best shot creator, but
No,
he is a
good.
positive on offense for sure. And I think he could do a little more than like Grant Williams can for sure. But outside of these guys, like I'm not sweating beads if Al Horford is driving or like running a pick and roll, or if Grant Williams is running a pick and roll with Robert Williams or anything like that, especially like when Aaron Nesmith plays, like I'm not sweating over that. That's my issue. Like the thing with the Heat, like they don't necessarily have like a number two guy, but everyone on the court can do something. Like Max Strus can attack a closeout pretty easily. Victor Oladipo can create a shot for himself. Gabe Vincent, he's very good at attacking the basket. He has that little floater. Like the Miami Heat, they're just a little more versatile. PJ Tucker, great corner three guy, can hit the short roll, floater, can pass too. Like they just have a lot more things going for them. I just think on offense, the Celtics have a lot more guys on the top end, but like throughout the roster, if you just really think about it, they don't really have guys on offense where you're like confident about having the ball,
I see what you're saying, but I kind of disagree. Like I feel like the Celtics are just running their offense through these three creators, and the rest of them are playing around them at a really high level. Like I don't see that as necessarily like a weakness for the Celtics. That makes sense. Like
Yeah, but
do
it's
well.
not good to be too dependent on like, unless it's LeBron James back in like 2018. Like, I don't think anyone in this NBA is capable of just like carrying a team on offense anymore.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair take.
Yeah. So that's my only concern with the Celtics. But with that being said, I guess we can go into predictions. What do you guys feel like the series? Who do you guys think who do you guys think will win this series?
Tell you right now, it's Celtics in 7. I told you at the beginning this is going to be a phenomenal series, but my pick is purely emotional. I think either team could easily go on and win a championship, but I said on a podcast that the Celtics are no threat, and that their top end talent isn't good enough and their roster's not good enough. And I eat every word I said because I love this team. Like I watched them sweep the Nets, and like I wanted the Nets to win, but I'm just watching that series. And I went on to the next series, and then obviously the Bucks series goes 7, and I kind of fell in love with the Celtics roster. I love the way they play. So I want to see them. I want to see them win the championship this year. So I'll pick them in 7 over the Miami Heat.
Damn.
I got the Heat in 7. Obviously that could be a little biased since I'm a Heat fan. But like, truth be told, like, I think honestly this is the Heat's year to do it. I mean, like we like this is sort of like the end. Like this is sort of the Heat's year in terms of like, oh, we finally built this great roster, and like we've developed all these guys, and Jimmy is finally playing at that, like peak level that he was playing in, like at that bubble. Like we sort of like everything came together this year. And although the Celtics are a great team, I don't necessarily like fear them as like, if let's say we're playing the Mavs, like I would like fear Luka. You know what I mean? Like I don't really, the Celtics are a great team, but I don't fear them. So, it's gonna be a close one. I think that they're both like evenly matched, but I got the Heat.
Yeah, I also got the Heat in 6. I actually think it won't be a 7-game series. I think that playmaking thing is going to catch up to the Celtics on offense. It's a big deal in the playoffs, and I think Alex hit on the spot. This is the Heat. This is the year for the Heat. They have this great roster. Kyle Lowry needs to come back for them to be at full strength. I don't even know if Markieff Morris is available at this point, but yeah, I think this is the Heat's year. Jimmy Butler has proven once again that he is no joke. He is that guy. He is a top 10 player, and he is certainly a superstar. And you can argue that he's a number 1 option on a championship team. And I think, and also like there's been debate going on like between who the better player is between Tatum and Jimmy Butler, but I truly think that Jimmy Butler is the better player. I think he's going to show it this series. He's going to have he had a monster game 1. Jimmy Butler in the playoffs is he's a special player. So, and with that, like, I think the Heat's versatility is going to really catch up to Kyle Lowry. Hopefully gets back healthy. And also, like, I'm kind of concerned about the Celtics health without Marcus Smart. Even when Marcus Smart comes back, he's not going to be 100%. So with that, I'm going to go with the Miami Heat in 6 games.
Man, you guys are on the opposite fence for everything. I got a Warriors Celtics championship. Both of you picked Mavs Heat.
Hey, and not to pat myself on the back, and like, the conference finals just started. I did call Mavs Heat from the start, and everyone thought I was crazy for that.
All right, you also called Grizzlies, so calm down there.
Hey, I was messing around, bro. I was messing around.
All right.
No. Mavs Heat finals.
Okay, let's talk like the Grizzlies. And Loki didn't have a chance though. Like if they don't throw game 1 and Ja hits that layup, they don't. Yeah. Or
all right, bro. That's not that layup's not a
3.
That layup's not a thrown game. Dude. He was double covered driving, and the ball was at the.
Bro, no, that's a makeable layup. Though.
It's not an easy shot when you're going that speed. Like,
okay, how about if Memphis just grab a goddamn rebound when Klay Thompson hits that 3 with like a minute?
Oh
left.
yeah, that's
like,
true, dude.
Yeah, like
the Grizzlies sold
so many. And God doesn't get hurt. Like Memphis could have easily won that series.
Not easily. They had a chance, but they didn't.
No, but like they go up 2-0 and Ja doesn't get hurt. Like I'm low-key taking Memphis odds.
All right, yeah. If you want to do hypotheticals, then sure.
Bro, but like, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
we're just gonna give
like
them
Golden State won, but like Memphis.
Yeah, you're acting like Memphis didn't have a chance. Like you're acting.
Wait,
like
I never said Memphis didn't have a chance. I just made fun of him because he picked Memphis.
No, I didn't pick Memphis. I picked the Warriors. But I was just messing around.
I picked the Warriors.
I just said Memphis in 7. That's all.
All right, it was an emotional pick. Emotional pick.
Yeah, that wasn't a pick. That wasn't a pick. I was just saying, fear the Grizzlies because that's been my team. I've loved the Grizzlies since like John Morant got drafted. Bro.
I guess I gotta talk about Jimmy Butler's load management too. Like this dude literally coasted the entire regular season, and Alex and I were sitting here on a podcast like worried. We're like, I don't know if Jimmy's gonna be able to do this.
Hey, I told you guys, Jimmy Butler is that dude, bro.
Nah, dude.
Nuts.
His load management. This guy literally cruised the whole regular season and just flipped the switch in the playoffs.
Dude, I know it's crazy. Like in the regular season, he shot like 18% from 3. He's like a 40% 3-point shooter now in the playoffs. Like, I don't know what's going on with this guy, but
shoot 3 game, yeah.
Yeah, but still, like,
yeah.
Like
getting to the line 18 times.
Hey, and those are legit free throws too. It's not those hardened Chris Paul BS like bonus free throw crap, Yeah. Jimmy Butler
that was fun watching the Suns not get calls too. I loved watching like Chris Paul and D-Book just not shooting free
flop.
Yeah.
Dude.
Just look silly.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat Bev was right, man. No one's scared of the Suns.
no one's scared of the Suns.
I still can't believe Pat Bev.
Also, we have to do this. We have to do this, bro.
No one's scared of Pat Bev either.
Yeah. That's true. Dude, Pat Bev needs to work in media. Like him and Stephen A should have a show.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't watched First Take in years, but I've been watching a lot because of Pat Bev, bro.
Me too.
Dude.
All I gotta say is like, how is Pat Bev gonna talk all this shit? Yeah. They win a playing game. He act like he like won a championship.
I know. Did you see him cry?
Like, like, come on, like,
Dude,
you know
I
what I
can't believe
mean?
you exposed Paul George too. That was the funniest part. He was like, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you who I was talking to. Actually, I will. Paul George. I'm like,
Wait, who's he talking to?
they were talking about not being afraid of the Suns, and he's like, we wanted the Suns. Like people around the league told me this, and he's like, I'm not gonna name names. Actually, I will. Paul George. Like, bro.
Bro. Yeah, no one's scared of the Suns, bro. Especially like they're gonna be like the next Utah Jazz, where like they're great in the regular season, but no one takes them seriously in the playoffs. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think it's not gonna be as bad as the Jets.
it's not gonna be as bad, but it's gonna be like the next iteration of that.
Well, maybe like the Jazz. Oh, I gotta say this right. Maybe the Jazz over the last like 5 years, like 5 years ago to like 4 years now. Like they've always been good.
Yeah,
But
the Phoenix
no
Suns
one
are
ever
good,
feared.
but like let's be honest, like
Yeah.
the Lakers, if they were healthy, they would have steamrolled them last year.
Oh, maybe.
All right, we ain't talking about the Lakers, man. We can do
Yeah.
that.
No, like let's be honest, they steamrolled them, bro.
All right, we can talk about the Lakers. Doc Rivers, John Wall coming over.
Oh my god. Ugh, I can't imagine that happening, bro. If that happens, dude, at that point, like let's just like trade LeBron. Like, there's no hope, bro. There's no hope. It's
Hey,
tough.
LeBron to the Sixers.
Why would he do that to himself, bro?
There's LeBron to the Warriors.
I'm
Rumors.
LeBron. I go to the Miami Heat, bro. I go back to Miami.
Do you think Jimmy Butler's gonna want LeBron?
I could go back to Cleveland.
Cleveland's not a bad option, but I would go to Miami. They could use a guy like LeBron. Well, to
LeBron's
be
not-
honest, like anyone can use LeBron.
LeBron's not leaving, dude. He's not gonna. He's not about to leave Los Angeles and move to Cleveland, Ohio. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, that's his hometown,
everything
bro.
is LeBron.
Yeah, trust me. He moved for a reason. Like,
Wait. Real quick before we end, we have to talk about how bad Trae Young is. We didn't cover the first round series, bro. I told you Trae Young is awful.
dude,
Yeah.
He's not on the same
doesn't
level as
wanna
John
listen
Morant
to that.
and
Come
Luka
on,
Doncic,
listen,
bro.
bruh.
He
Never
averaged like
said-
13 points per game, bro.
bro, I never said he was on the same level.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I said he was a top 3 youngster at the time. Didn't say they're on the same level. I said he's behind Luka and Ja, but I'm taking that back because Tatum has been like a absolute god this playoffs. And obviously, but here's the thing about Trae Young, like you have to acknowledge, like he played the freaking Miami Heat, who's probably the best defense in the league, and all they did is just stop Trae Young. Like that's literally all they had to do. Like it was so easy for the Heat to win that
bro.
series.
You know who was the best player on the Hawks? You know who the best player on the Hawks was that series, bro? It was Bogdanovich, bro. Like,
Yeah, because he
it was-
opened. All the Heat had to do
cra-
was stop Trae Young. Like that was a terrible matchup for the Hawks. Obviously, he was gonna have a bad series. Like, no, why nobody in the
what do you mean
world-
obvious? You had the Hawks getting like 2 games out of that, bro.
Yeah,
You had the Heat in like 6 or 7 or something like that.
no, I had the Heat in 5 or 6.
No, you didn't.
I said Trae would have like a one monster game and win when he didn't, but
Dude, he did not have a monster game, bro. That was a
I
lucky
said he
game.
didn't have a game, like a monster game. I was
Oh,
wrong.
okay.
Dude, I'm sorry.
It was a mismatch. Like I don't know why you guys bagging on him for that.
Mismatch. Okay. There's no way you can say even before the series he was a top 3 youngster. I'm sorry, if I'm starting my franchise and I could pick any guy like under 26-year-old, there's legit 15 guys I pick. Like,
Wait,
Wait,
15 guys is a lot.
Did you say
Yeah.
26?
like if I'm starting my franchise, like if I
Wait, you
could
say
draft
8, 26.
like 25 and under, like 25.
Wait.
Okay,
Wait, maybe
I
15.
usually consider 24 and under. So like I don't count like D Book because he's like
Okay.
25. But go ahead.
No, D-Book counts. D-Book.
No, I
Tatum,
don't count D Book.
John Morant, Luka. I'm picking guys like if I'm starting my franchise, not saying he's better right now. I'm picking Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes. Like these are guys I just rather like start my franchise with. Your ceiling as a team with Trae Young is so limited because not only is he the worst defender in the goddamn league, because not only is he a bad defender, he just doesn't care about defense. That's number one. Number two, how is he a great shooter yet so bad off the ball? Great shooters are supposed to be great off the ball, but no, all this dude wants to do is run high pick and rules all game. And off the ball, he just stands. He just stands around. Like obviously, like I just don't understand. Like if you just look at stats and look at his actual game, yeah, he's probably a top 25 player, but I'm not building my team around him. like this, like if I'm starting my franchise, there's so many guys I'd rather start my franchise with. Like it wouldn't even close. Like
I can't
like
argue.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I'd easily take guys like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, Shea Gilgeous is a beast, bro.
Yeah, like there's. I'm telling you, there's like 15 guys I'd take over them if I want to start my franchise over. Maybe guys like Scotty Barnes was a little too far, but like you know what I'm saying.
No, I
Yeah,
think
but the thing is, that's not my argument though, because I said at the time, he had just come off the Eastern Conference Finals, pulling off pulling out incredible numbers, playing incredible basketball, and he played through this year. He didn't have his best season, but his numbers were still great. So I'm talking right now, like based off what he does for his team and how he's impacted the league. He's top 3. But if you're going to pull the argument like, I'd rather have this guy and he's going to develop and be better than Trae Young, then that's a completely different debate than what I've been saying. Because like 5 years from now,
argue right now in terms of winning, Scotty Barnes is more valuable than Trae Young. I don't think that's like ridiculous.
No, because what I'm saying is if you take Trae Young off the Hawks and you put Scotty Barnes there, they're way worse. But you're thinking more like if you were to put Trae Young on like
I don't know, man. Like the Hawks are pretty good, dude. They're a good team. It's not bad.
Y'all gotta stop. This Hawks are a good team.
No, it's not a bad team, bro.
They are extremely mid. Extremely mid.
No. It's a little above mid, bro. Like they got some guys. Like,
it is not above mid. It is extremely mid.
They have good players, man.
It's not, especially like last year. Like that team was crazy loaded last year, bro. When they made the conference finals.
Even if we take out this like starting the franchise that I brought in the equation, there was no way he's a top 3 young. Like the gap between him and Tatum, or him and like even Devin Booker, is night and day.
I'm still not counting
100%.
And Tatum really broke out this year. Like you realize Trae Young.
Well, Tatum's always been good, bro.
No, but Tatum wasn't doing that last year.
I mean, he made the conference finals like 4 times. He's been good, bro. He's always been good. And like
Tatum's better than Trae Young now. Like I'm not arguing that.
He's always been better than Trae Young.
Yeah, he's always been better. He's always been leagues better.
Like if you want to do your argument, like you were to ask me like last year when we were having this debate, if who would I rather start a franchise with, I'm taking Tatum. But that doesn't mean he's better at that moment in time, for me at least.
Tatum was always better.
But also, Trae Young's stock was really high because he had that playoff run was ridiculous. And
wait. Let's go back to the playoff run, bro. Well, let's see. Like I'm not gonna say that his run was fraudulent because any series, like anytime you go far into playoffs, that's always hard. But bro, he played the Knicks round 1, and like the Knicks. You can make an argument they didn't deserve to be there. Like Julius Randle, he outperformed himself like by miles, bro. He is not that guy. And like I think it's very clear that Julius Randle isn't that good. But last year, because of the no fans thing and like all this COVID crap, this guy was like hitting like 45% from 3, and like he was like practically like playing in an empty gym. Like a lot of that what happened this past year. And then when you take into the fact that there's a lot of injuries because of the short turnaround, there's a lot of factors that came into play. So the Knicks somehow made the playoffs. And like, let's be honest. Tell me like if Trae Young didn't beat the Knicks, like that's embarrassing, bro. So 1, he beat the Knicks. 2, he played the 76ers with the Sixers had no perimeter talent back then. And like they still don't have any right now. But dude, like outside of like Seth Curry and a rookie Tyrese Maxey, like tell me who on the 76ers can create for themselves.
That doesn't matter. The Sixers were a high-seeded team with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid.
It doesn't. Dude, the Hawks, if you look like Embiid's team, Trae Young's team, right? Trae Young's supporting cast is leagues better than Embiid.
It is not leagues better. It is still Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons who Trae Young beat, hitting repeated daggers in fourth quarters. Like you guys are just failing to acknowledge this.
Dude, against 76 who have no perimeter scoring force. Yeah, I think I'd hit daggers. Like, come on, dude. Like Like, come on,
It
man.
has nothing to do with anything.
Bro, the
like-
Sixers. Are you serious? Like, I'm not gonna legitimize being the Sixers. Like, well, I'll legitimize it, but I'm not gonna be like, that's a great accomplishment.
That is a amazing accomplishment.
Fading the Sixers. Are you serious?
man.
Oh, for
The
a
Sixers?
person of Trae Young's age and stature to come out and do that. First of all, that Knicks series, that Knicks team was a little different because they had a little bit of like moxie and hunger. Like they were ready and the fans were going crazy. Like that was an intense series. Like we have to acknowledge that.
It was intense,
to
but
the
like that
Sixers-
doesn't mean they're good. That doesn't mean they're good.
You go to the Sixers, Trae Young's clearly the best player, and he's dropping repeated daggers in the fourth quarter, closing out the Sixers, and he goes on to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's a great accomplishment. So at the time, obviously, I'm going to overrate Trae Young. Like, I'm not saying I'm starting a franchise with him that high. And then, just so we can get back on topic, you go to this year, Trae Young puts up good numbers. Like, it's not like he's putting up bad numbers.
No. Like,
I know what you're going to say about numbers, but then he goes to the playoffs and he loses to the Heat. He gets out mismatched. Like, all right, obviously, I'm low on Trae Young.
oh yeah, mismatch. That wasn't a mismatch. That was
Him playing the Heat was a
that
mismatch.
that was humiliating, bro.
Obvious. It's the best team with the best defense. Like, what did you expect?
But if you're gonna say that he's better than Jason Tatum, you can't be saying that like, oh, it's a mismatch. Like, he's just not that good, bro.
Hold up. Did I not say Jason Tatum's better than him like 5 times?
No, but
you said before.
said at the time he's better. You said Trae Young is better than Jason
Yeah,
Tatum.
during the regular season, I said that.
Okay,
That's
but
ridiculous. Trae Young makes one conference finals, even though Jason Tatum as a rookie, like made the conference finals.
almost beat LeBron.
Because I always had a problem with Tatum, which was the fact that like he just comes up small sometimes and always gave me a headache. But like
Trae Young can't even get to the spotlight. That's the issue. Like,
he's been in the spotlight that whole run. That's what I'm saying.
bro, it's
dude.
not
In the fourth quarter when he hits the best
This is
shot.
the fakest.
Also, this is
run
our
of all
5th time having this debate. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I even call the Suns run fraudulent. This Hawks run to the Eastern Conference Finals is so fraudulent. Like
Yeah, but the Suns are a way better team.
hey, that
And
conference
a 1 seed.
finals. That conference finals run is probably like as easy as it gets. Like, I don't think there's been an easier conference finals ever in terms of like how easy it was to get there. Like, yeah, the Sixers are the 1 seed, but like, bro, you can't be telling me that's a legit roster. Like, they have the same guys, except Ben Simmons was playing instead of James Harden. And Tyrese Maxey was a rookie.
Yeah, that team was worse than this, like significantly.
Dude, I hate on the Sixers all the time, but it's still Ben Simmons and Embiid. And Trae Young did it. Like, you're sitting here, you're like, I'm not going to diminish what he did because he did it. And then you just diminish it.
But you
No.
also act like Trae Young backpacked the Hawks. It was not a backpack.
No,
Again,
dude, not that
he's a really good player. DeAndre Hunter, who I've been wrong on, is a really good player.
Bogdanovich.
John Collins, really good player.
Bro,
Capella,
you're acting
good
like,
player.
dude, none of these guys, this is not a championship caliber team. It's insanely
Well,
mid.
if you have the right,
It's
number one option, I think it can be contending.
okay,
This
if your number one
roster's better
option is
than that
Luka or prime LeBron, sure.
No, like even if you put like
No,
Jimmy
No.
Butler there,
no.
like,
No.
they have a chance, bro. In
They
terms of
don't.
talent, yes, they
They
do.
have no chance with that roster if you give him Jimmy Butler.
Dude, that,
Wait,
that
so
roster
now you're
is
saying
way
that
better than
Trae Young is
Sixers
worse than
roster.
Jimmy Butler, or
Trae
Trae Young?
Young's a
better than
worse
Jimmy
player
Butler?
than Jimmy Butler, yes, by
But,
far.
okay, wait, no, you're saying that Trae Young is better than Jimmy Butler then? 'Cause you're saying
No.
if no way that if Jimmy
Trae
Butler,
Young has no chance of winning a championship. I never said he was going to win a championship with that roster.
no. I'm saying I said like put Jimmy Butler on the Hawks, and you're saying they don't have a chance to win a championship?
You take Trae Young off and you put Jimmy on the Hawks.
Yeah.
They're not winning a championship.
No,
No.
but like they have a chance, right?
They don't have a chance.
Like
Trae
zero.
has no chance either.
I think last year, with how bad the freaking like playoffs were in 2020, how weak the playoffs were the
Yeah,
Suns and
if you put Jimmy on the Hawks and Jimmy's playing how like playoff Jimmy, how he's playing now, like he's healthy. They'll beat the Knicks. They'll beat the Sixers. They're not beating the Bucks.
Yeah, I think they low-key beat the Bucks.
They're not beating the Bucks.
Dude,
Not the way
that
Middleton,
Hawks
Giannis,
They
and
took
Harden-
him to 6, bro, with Trae Young as a number one option.
because
Yeah.
Trae Young was cooking that year. Like you put Jimmy, they're better. Maybe they win another game. They're not beating the Bucks.
And no, and
There's no way. With that roster, there's no way.
no way, like zero.
No way. Zero.
Bro. You're underrating these guys, bro.
I'm not underrating these guys. You're just overrating them. You're trying to diminish Trey by hyping up.
No, Bogdanovich is a hell of a good player, bro.
Bro, you realize he is the second option offensively on that team. Like, that is so
but
sad.
They have a good roster. Like, you could say,
Yeah, it's mid.
Like, you're just going off
good, but it's just mid.
You're going off.
Kevin Huerter went off too.
Name value. It's a good roster. Like, I could easily say, oh, the Grizzlies' second option on offense is Benjamin. Like, yeah, that's true, but it's a good roster. Like, you're just going off name value as, oh, Bogdanovich is their second option. But if you look at the roster around him, it's good. Like,
no, but Grizzlies roster is way better than the Hawks roster, though. And they actually do this thing called, like, play defense at a high level. So it's completely different. And they have a better.
You don't have to play. You don't have to play defense against the Sixers or the Knicks. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, that's not true at all. I mean,
that's all I'm gonna say. You don't have to play any defense. There's no offense on the teams that they played, bro.
Yeah, let's just not guard Embiid. That's a good idea.
Who's gonna get the ball to Embiid though? You just quadruple team Embiid and you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had no perimeter talent, but it's still Embiid and Ben Simmons. That's what I'm saying, and they were a good defensive team too. Also,
we're just names. That's his name. Wait, what?
What do you want me to say to that?
I'm just saying those are just names. Like,
yeah, they're names because they're good players. Like,
no. Ben Simmons in that series was like the 8th best player. There was like 4 players on the Hawks.
I mean, yeah, because Trae Young was dropping 30 pieces on Ben Simmons' head. He was,
wait. Tell me the perimeter talent of perimeter defense of the Sixers. Like, we just dogged on Matisse Thybulle, and we're open to saying like this guy is awful on the ball.
Yeah, all right. Ben Simmons on-ball defender. Thybulle, Danny Green.
He was not guarding Trae Young, bro.
Ben Simmons?
No, yeah, he wasn't.
He was guarding Trae Young in the last 2 games.
He wasn't.
Yes, he was.
I'll look back, but I don't think
defending Trae Young in the fourth quarters because this dude is a liability at playing basketball. So, of course, Trae Young's going to go off in the fourth quarter when Seth Curry is on, or like rookie Tyrese Maxey.
Did you just say Ben Simmons is a liability of playing basketball?
Yeah, in fourth quarters, he is. He legit is. Like, I'm telling you, in that Hawks Sixers series, Ben Simmons is legit like the 8th best player in that series.
Okay, wait. This is a question. Like, this is something that I thought of. So the Sixers had like 2 number 1 overall picks. They picked Ben Simmons and then they picked Markelle Fultz. So between those two, who would you rather have right now?
Well, one of them. No, I'm taking Ben Simmons. I think he'll be good when he comes back.
Like,
okay. I don't know. I low-key take Fultz, no?
I would take Fultz. And Fultz is actually a productive basketball player. Like, I'm sorry, like, I'm kind of off this Ben Simmons right now. Like, yeah, he can be this, like small ball vibe. And honestly, the Nets is, like, the only team he probably can play on nowadays. It's, like, them and the Warriors. They're probably the only 2 teams that, like, Ben Simmons can play for. So, like, I think the ship has sailed for Ben Simmons. Like, first of all, let's be honest, he probably could have played. Like, but he's a bum. Number 2, like,
I don't know, man.
Unless if he's like playing I feel like unless if he's playing like the 5 as sort of a center, like, he's a non-threat offensively. Like, this point guard you all want him to be is just not realistic. He's not a point guard. You know why? Because he's a non-threat offensively. You can't like by nature, if you want to be a good playmaker, you have to be a threat on offense. Like, Russell Westbrook, by default, when he was with OKC, was a good playmaker because he was aggressive and could attack the basket. Like, you have to be somewhat of a threat on offense to be a good playmaker. You can't just be this, good playmaking point guard without being a threat on offense.
I think in half court, he's pretty ineffective as a ball handler. But in transition, like, he's really good. So I think I think that's the point people make when they're like saying use Ben Simmons as a point guard. But I think more than like being a zero on off, like I don't think Ben Simmons is a zero on offense because he does have size. He does have the hook shot in the post, and he's a decent like roll threat when he sets a pick, and he could pass too. But in the half court, he needs to do more. Like there's no doubt about that. Like Simmons and Embiid can't work together because whatever Embiid needs, Simmons can't provide, and whatever Simmons needs, or whatever Embiid needs, Simmons can't provide. But whatever Simmons needs, Embiid can't like help him either. That's the issue.
Yeah. The other thing with Ben Simmons is like he's great in transition, but he's also like a 1 through 5 kind of player. Like I feel like if you're a point guard, you have to have some kind of shot creation to facilitate, but also there's like Draymond type facilitators, you know? And like worst case, I think Ben Simmons can still be that, like a defensive anchor who can facilitate like a Draymond. So, I mean,
yeah, but like I don't think he's nearly the passer that Draymond is. Like Draymond is like a historically good passer.
Yeah, but he's a good enough passer that he could play that role. But I don't know, like with the whole Fultz Ben Simmons thing, like I'm exhausted with Ben Simmons too, and it's such a risk because he's so like, I don't know, when you have an NBA player with mental health problems, it's kind of like you really don't know what to expect. But
mental health.
I don't think it's mental health. I just think it's him embarrassing him or him saving himself from embarrassment, bro.
Yeah,
that's what those are his words. But
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably take Ben Simmons because I just like the talent, and I think eventually he'll come around.
Isn't it crazy that we're getting to the point where like Markelle Fultz or Ben Simmons? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but with Fultz, at least I know what I'm getting. I'm getting a guy that can get to the basket, who's he can do a couple things on offense. Fultz is a solid, like I won't say like he's like he's a solid like NBA point guard. Like he's like a league caliber like point guard or at least an off guard. Like Ben Simmons, half the time I don't know what I'm getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I
want to lean more that way too.
Like a lot of teams could use a guy like Fultz.
Yeah, I agree.
Ben Simmons is like.
But go ahead.
Oh, me?
Wait, Alex, did you want to finish your point?
Oh wait, I think I just lost connection. That's not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with that point though. Like Markelle Fultz just fits on other teams more. Like Ben Simmons is this weird. He's a unique talent, and I think if there is an offensive genius out there who can use him, like he might be effective. But Markelle Fultz is just so much easier to just plug into teams. He's not a zero on offense. Like Ben Simmons might be in the half court too. So yeah, I think I'd lean Fultz too, to be honest. Like he's a big guard too, on top of that. Who plays defense. So yeah. Okay. But man, this is a long episode.
I know. But with that, let's wrap things up here.
Yeah,
we got really off topic. But anyways, yeah, so next week we'll touch on our takes and see how we're still feeling about these two series. Obviously, tonight we're really excited for Warriors Mavericks. And other than that, it's just great to be here and talking about sports again. Thank you all for listening. If you made it this far, yeah, just thank you. And we'll be back next week.
Yes, sir.